ever get that feeling like, you know when a company's stock just explodes and you're left thinking, man, did I miss out? I think a lot of us get that with NVIDIA. You see the headlines and the stock charts and you just can't help but wonder, is it too late?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and that's the exact question we're going to try to answer for you in this deep dive today.
Yeah.
We've got this really interesting analysis that argues NVIDIA's growth. It's not just a one-time thing. This might actually be the start of something even bigger.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here to do, right? Not just repeat the news, but really dive into the details. Why does this article think NVIDIA is about to explode? And what about this recent dip in their stock? Is it a bad sign, or could it actually be a good opportunity for someone like you listening who wants to understand all this stuff without getting lost in the weeds?
I think the key takeaway is that NVIDIA isn't just some graphics card company. They're actually shaping the future of so many huge industries.
Okay, so let's break this down. The article talks about the AI imperative and compares AI to being the new oil. What does that even mean when we're talking about NVIDIA?
Well, imagine this AI is this new valuable resource, right? And everyone's suddenly scrambling to find ways to use it. NVIDIA is the company making the best tools to extract and refine this new oil. The article calls them the arms dealer, or the supplier of shovels, in this massive gold rush. Like everyone's trying to strike gold with AI, and NVIDIA is selling the picks and shovels.
I like that analogy. So the shovels here are their GPUs, right? Specifically the H100 chips. The article says these things are crucial for training these crazy powerful LLMs.
Exactly, LLMs. Those are those large language models that can generate text code, all sorts of stuff. They require insane amounts of computing power to learn. And NVIDIA's chips are just really good at that.
Why is that? What makes NVIDIA's chips so special for this kind of stuff?
It comes down to how they're built. Traditional computer chips, they handle tasks one after another. But NVIDIA's GPUs, they can do tons of calculations all at the same time. It's like having a giant team working on a problem all at once, so much faster. And the H100s are their best ones yet. That's why you see companies like Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon, OpenAI, all rushing to get their hands on NVIDIA's hardware.
I mean, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. The article mentions that NVIDIA's data center revenue grew by over 400% year over year. That's not just growth. That's like a rocket ship.
Yeah, it really shows you how intense this AI race is. And just to give you an idea of the personality involved, the article has these really interesting descriptions of NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang. They call him the Pablo Escobar of Silicon. But instead of something else he's dealing in teraflops, that's a measure of computing power. Oh, and they also call him a low-key tech messiah.
Yeah, so he's like the kingpin of silicon and a tech savior. Interesting combo. But let's talk about gaming for a second. NVIDIA has been known for gaming for a long time, but some people think that market's dying out. What does the article say about that?
The article says, hold on, gaming isn't growing like it was during those pandemic lockdowns, but it's still a huge market. And NVIDIA's RTX series, those are still the top-of-the-line GPUs for PC gamers who want the best performance and all the fancy features.
And it's not just about the games we're playing now, right? The article says the future of gaming will actually need even more powerful hardware. And guess who's making that?
Exactly. Think about where gaming is going.
Yeah.
Super realistic graphics that almost look real, AI-powered characters that react in smarter ways.
Yeah.
And technology like ray tracing that makes lighting and reflections look incredibly lifelike. All that needs serious processing power. And that's NVIDIA's specialty. The article even mentions GeForce NW. That's their cloud gaming service. It basically lets you play high-end games without needing to own a powerful PC. It could open up gaming to way more people in the future.
So we got AI and gaming, but NVIDIA is also pushing into some other really interesting areas, like automotive and this thing called Omniverse. Let's start with cars. What are they doing there?
So NVIDIA has this platform called Drive. It's basically a toolkit for everything car-related. It's being used in self-driving cars for the autonomous driving systems. But it's also being used for the infotainment systems and the digital dashboards in cars from companies like Tesla and Toyota.
So they're like the brains behind the next generation of vehicles.
Exactly. And then there's Omniverse, which the article calls NVIDIA's move into the industrial metaverse. Sounds kind of sci-fi, right?
It does. What does that actually mean?
It's all about creating these digital twins. Imagine a perfect virtual copy of a real-world object, like a factory or a whole supply chain. Think BMW being able to build a virtual model of a new car and its entire production process before they even build a physical prototype.
So they can run simulations, test different designs, optimize everything, all in this virtual world.
Exactly. It's like a super advanced video game for businesses. They can find problems, improve efficiency, and save tons of money because they don't have to do all the trial and error in the real world. And the article says this isn't just some futuristic idea. It's being used right now, and it has the potential to be a trillion-dollar market.
It's amazing how NVIDIA is taking what they learned from making games and applying it to these huge industries. And the article really emphasizes the role of Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's CEO. He sounds like a visionary leader.
Yeah, he's definitely seen as a key part of NVIDIA's success. The article compares his leadership to other companies in the chip industry, like Intel, which has been struggling, and even AMD, which is a good competitor, but still behind NVIDIA in this AI race. Wall Street seems to love Huang and the company, too.
So it sounds like NVIDIA is doing great, but then why did their stock price dip recently? If everything's so good, why the pullback?
Well, the article says this dip isn't because of any problems with NVIDIA's business. It's more about the overall market. Things like interest rates, the economy, investor behavior. You know how the market is? The article even says that NVIDIA announced some amazing earnings and the market barely reacted, which is kind of what led to this dip.
And the article's take on this dip is pretty clear. They call it a gift and a buying opportunity. That's pretty bold.
It is. But they believe in NVIDIA's long-term growth, AI, gaming, automotive, industrial simulation. All those things are still super strong. So they think this dip is just a temporary blip, a chance to buy the stock at a lower price before it goes back up.
Now, a lot of people look at NVIDIA's stock price and think that's way too expensive. It does have a really high price-to-earnings ratio. What does the article say about that?
They compare NVIDIA to companies like Amazon, Google, Tesla. Back when they were in similar growth phases, those companies also looked expensive, but they ended up doing incredibly well. So the article argues that maybe traditional ways of valuing companies don't really apply to NVIDIA because they're growing so fast and dominating these key technologies. Plus, NVIDIA is buying back a lot of its own stock, which usually means a company thinks its stock is undervalued.
That makes sense. If they're putting their money where their mouth is, it's a good sign.
What about the competition? The article mentions AMD and Intel, but is NVIDIA really that far ahead?
They say AMD is a good company with good chips, but they compare AMD to a good science fair project, while NVIDIA is like a functioning nuclear reactor in terms of power. Intel is still trying to catch up. And then you have companies like Apple and Google who are making their own chips. But the article says those chips are mostly for their own use. And NVIDIA has this huge advantage with their CDA platform. It's like a special software that lets developers write programs for NVIDIA's hardware. And because so many people are already using CDA, it's hard for competitors to catch up. So to answer our original question, is it too late to invest in NVIDIA? Based on this article, it seems like the answer is a resounding no.
Yeah, the article says too late is the wrong way to think about it. They point to NVIDIA's history of innovation and their role in 5 major tech trends: AI, cloud computing, gaming, autonomous vehicles, industrial simulation. They're basically saying this is still early in a massive tech revelation.
And the article even gives some pretty big predictions for NVIDIA's future growth. What are some of those?
Some analysts think NVIDIA could hit over $100 billion in annual revenue in a few years, and they expect them to keep making strong profits. The article also talks about Blackwell, which is NVIDIA's next generation of chips. They say it's going to be like a nuke for the AI world. And then there's the whole geopolitical situation with the US and China and chip regulations. That could actually benefit NVIDIA too.
So to sum it all up for you listening, this analysis basically says that NVIDIA is the leader in a bunch of high-growth industries. They think this recent stock dip is just a temporary thing, not because of any real problems. And that means there's a lot of potential for the stock to go up in the future.
Exactly. We started by asking if you missed the boat. But now the question is this actually a unique opportunity for you to get on board with a company that's leading the way in so many important technologies?
And the article leaves us with this really interesting challenge. It basically comes down to this. Do you sit on the sidelines and maybe regret missing out later? Or do you take a chance and join what they call the engine of the AI revolution? It's a tough decision, and it's worth really thinking about as you do your own research and decide what's right for you.
You know, I think that's a perfect place to leave it for today. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.